Happy Tuesday. We are back for another episode of the UFL Insiders. I got the crew with me today, ready to break some games down. We're also going to introduce Mr. Aidan. Aidan, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on today.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it very much. I've had you on in the past, and it was a good conversation, man. So I appreciate you coming back. Most people at home, they probably know you as UFL Center,
Yeah,
previous as XFL Center. So it's good to have you, man.
yeah. I mean, last time I was on, I think it was in August. We hadn't even known that the merger was happening. That didn't come till September. So it's crazy, how fast everything came together with the whole UFL. Last time I was here, we were just talking about the XFL season, and now we're here.
Yeah, I think we were making plans for next year and hoping for the best the
Yeah.
last conversation we had. And then probably 2 months later is when the merger rumors started, and it
Mhm.
just went from there.
Yeah, that was crazy. 3 months. We were 3 months of the league left us kind of in 3 months of darkness there. I think between September to the end of December, we were kind of left in the dark until the big announcement was made. A lot of moving parts with that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well. A lot of different complications from that era and things that we remember.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm glad that we made it to the other side now, and we actually have a spring league to support and watch.
Yeah, I know. There were people talking about that. We wouldn't get the spring league till or the UFL till 2025 because so many logistics that had to be sorted out. But I'm glad we got it, and that we're going into week 3. And the I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but things from a rating standpoint, at least, have looked pretty good. Attendance, not so much, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
Yes, sir, for sure, for sure. Basically, on the show today, we're going to just break down last week's games, week 2 games, and talk about them with the different contributors and people in AFN. Um, but yeah, man, definitely before we get into that, how have you been? How's things going on your end? And you were a graduating senior last time we spoke, right? Like you were just finishing up high school, is that right?
I know I was going into my senior year.
Got you.
So I'm graduating in about 2 months from high school. Um, Still deciding between a couple schools as to where I want to go. So I'll figure that out in the next month. I have till May 1st, so we'll see what happens with that.
It's awesome, man. So you're gonna do journalism, or what? What are you looking to do?
I think I'm gonna go into to business. There are a few schools I applied to, with dual major that would entail journalism and business. Because journalism, I've been doing it for a couple years now with the alternate football, so that's definitely something that's interested me. So but business too, that has also been I apply to most of my schools, business, and some schools with the dual major in journalism. So I'll see what happens with that.
Well, good luck to you, man.
Thank you.
So you've been writing for UFL board or previous XFL board for two
Yep.
years now.
I started January of 2023, so about a year and 3 months. But I've been
Wow.
doing this whole XFL Center thing since I think the summer of 2022. So I've been in this, I guess, realm for 2 years, about approaching 2 years now. So long
Starting
time.
early, man.
Yeah.
You're one
Yeah.
of the youngest that I knew of that did anything in this scape of things. So much respect to you, man. Most people couldn't put that together at a young age. I know I couldn't have back then. No way.
I try my best. It's sometimes it's hard with school to get articles up because those take a lot of time. I put a lot of effort into those, but I try my best.
I mean, what's been the toughest thing so far, you think, about being young and doing this?
Really, just school. I have school from 8 to around 3, and then after that, I've had baseball, so that's taken up 2 3 hours depends after school. So it's been tough. I've been trying to join Mark Nelson, a UFO board. He's gotten me into some press calls, but I've only been able to get into only a couple because most of them take place during the day. So it's been hard with doing that. Uh, I haven't been able to get into many with because all those times I've been in school. I know Mark and a lot of people put out great articles. There's a lot of information that I guess goes on that's given out during those conference calls. So I miss out on that. I've just had limited time, but I do my best. Uh, I guess balancing both things.
Hey, that's what you got to do, man. I mean, real life comes first, and I'll repeat that over and over and over again.
Yep.
Until you make the big bucks, it's like you can't make this a priority. Now, if you start making some money, that changes a little bit. But till then, it's just a passion project.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. 100%.
So, have you got to attend any games this season yet?
No. So I live in New Jersey, I live in New Jersey. So the closest market is DC, which is still about 4.5 hours.
Whew.
So yeah, if the New Jersey Generals had made the merger, maybe that would have been a little more realistic for me to get out to games. I don't know where they would have played, maybe MetLife, but that probably would have been a nightmare for in terms of getting fans out there. But it's been with DC as the closest one. I haven't been out to a game or plan anything, but maybe things would change. But yeah, I don't have anything planned yet. I think there are still four more DC home games, so
Yep.
I'll see what happens. All the games are on a Sunday too, Sunday and like
Tough, yep.
4 o'clock. So that would certainly be rough for me. But I'll see. Maybe one game I'll make it out there, but nothing yet on that front.
No worries, man. I'm just curious. Just gonna gauge your thoughts in it, and because I've been to 2 different games now, and it was a good experience at both, but they were very different as well. But yeah, I'm like you too. Like I got to drive everywhere, and it's cool for me because I don't have school, so I can do that. I have more wiggle room in my schedule,
Yeah.
but it still makes for a busy schedule doing that driving or flying. If you're gonna fly, it's almost the same degree.
Yeah, you're in Mississippi, right?
Down on the
Or
coast, yes, sir.
yeah. How's that drive to what you drive to both Houston and in Memphis?
Yeah. Houston's a little rough there. I mean, it's 6 hours or so,
Oh wow.
traffic all the way. Memphis
Mhm.
is a lot easier of a drive. You're just going up north basically, so that's
How
not too
long is
bad.
that? A couple hours.
Memphis is 5.5.
Oh wow.
Houston is roughly 6, depending on traffic.
So similar.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
similar. The distance to Houston, I believe, is shorter, but just because of the traffic and the way the roads are set up, it takes a little longer to get there.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's always good. I mean, I've visited Houston more than I ever have because of the XFL and UFL now.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
know
good.
you went to some Roughnecks games in last year, right?
Yes, sir.
And you went to the championship, right?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yep.
You got any plans for this week 3?
No,
Going to
sir.
Birmingham. I'm surprised. Maybe Birmingham is probably the closest to you, right?
It is, but it's really not much further than Memphis or Houston. It's about
Really?
another hour and a half or so shorter.
Okay.
So it's about 4 hours, give or take, to go to Birmingham from where I'm at. And
Alright.
it's not that I don't want to go, man. I just got to get a break. I've been on the
Yeah, I got you.
road traveling, trying to make this stuff still roll, and it's not. It's just like I need a break. So
100%.
this week's a break. Looking to go again, like maybe week 4 or 5 in Birmingham. See what plays out there.
All right.
Yeah, it's cool that like I get the opportunity to go and do this and see those games because a lot of people don't. So I'm blessed that I do get to attend any games.
Do you go as media or do you go as a fan?
I go as media.
All right.
Yep.
So you get to go to those. What do you get in the press box, right? And then you do the press conference afterwards.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you get to get on the field a little bit. I've had some opportunities to get on the field. I get a vest, so I'll get to go out and take pictures and stuff and just live it up, I guess, being media.
Living the dream.
It's much different than going as a fan, for sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
You don't get as absorbed into it, but you still follow the game closely. And I mean, it's fun because you're in it. You're not on the outside. You're actually in it. So it's like in Memphis, we had that, that last drive that they pulled off with San Antonio, and it was epic. The energy in there was just off the chain, man. The crowd was rolling, and it nothing like that feeling. And it's a different perspective, whether you're media, a fan, a player, a coach. There's all these different perspectives. So it's really
100%.
cool and neat.
Yeah, that comeback from the Brahmas there was something else. And it was 19-8, right? Going in with like 2 minutes left. Showboats had got an interception, right? It's crazy. The 4th and 12 rule is.
Let's get that. Let's get that up. Let's talk about it. So it was 2019 to finish. Let's get Mike G on. XFL Mike G, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
How's it going, everybody? Pretty good, pretty good. How's it going, guys?
We started talking about the game a little bit. I figured I'd bring you on in.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, he's going to give away all my talking points.
Sorry.
No, but Mike, man, I was wondering if you could tell us more about this game. I was there in person. Epic time. I mean, I couldn't have chosen a better game to attend this week, in my opinion. Give us the rundown. How'd it go? Big plays? Anything you feel is relevant?
Well, normally you'd say in a game it's like a tale of two halves, but this one was really a tale of the first 3 quarters and the last quarter. The first 3 quarters were terrible for the Brahmas. We kept giving them penalties that would prolong their drives. Fortunately enough for us, they weren't converting touchdowns or turning them into field goals. So by the end of the 3rd quarter, we were down 16-0. It was not looking good for us, but as a fan, I completely forgot, as a Brahmas fan, I'm thinking, oh man, but as a UFL fan, I completely forgot if you're down by less than 18 going into the 4th, you still got a chance. So, they turned it around. They picked it up a little bit. They started converting on offense. I think we doubled our offensive put out from the 3rd quarter to the 4th quarter alone. I know that we eliminated Case Cookus, who we were all worried about and concerned about, to 2 of 4 passing in the 4th quarter after he had ripped us all game long. In the 3rd, see, I keep wanting to say second half. In the final quarter, our offense was able to turn it up. We doubled passing. We doubled our rushing yards. We were able to convert some plays and get the ball in the end zone from very, very exciting plays.
Yeah, I had some highlights pulled up, but instead this guy's talking. Let's skip that.
So yeah, I just got some notes here. It was 16-0 at the end of the 3rd quarter. By the 2-minute warning was 19-8. So we were still down by 11. We still had a chance. We were able to convert on some key plays. Garber was looking really, really good in that final quarter. I know the Brahmas like to say we're a 4th quarter team, but I wish they'd get it going and not save it to the 4th quarter. Our defense really bailed us out the first 3 quarters.
Oh, yeah. Both of these defenses looked really good for the day. I mean, in my mind, I enjoyed watching them.
Yeah, it was definitely a defensive struggle if you like those kinds of games, and some people don't, but I enjoy them. But it didn't feel real good to be down 16-0. I was kind of thinking, okay, we'll be 1-1. We'll be all right. But man, they turned it around. They stopped committing stupid penalties. There's one on the screen right now. Mm-hmm. That was considered a punch that led to the ejection. So his swiping down, trying to get him off of him, was considered a punch, and that's why they ejected him. And some people weren't clear on that. But, yeah, that's what led to the ejection.
I'll tell you, I was watching him all game. I mean, he was ready to fight the whole game. And that's fine. That energy's needed as long as you're not doing it. But you could see him getting into his other players and telling them to straighten up, do better. So, yeah, that penalty was crucial, though, and it sucked that you guys had that happen.
Yeah, we had another penalty where we had stopped him. Cookus, we stopped him short on the scramble, but we hit him late for automatic first down. And I believe they converted that to a field goal as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So down by 16 with 51 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. I mean, that as a fan or a player, as a coach, I mean, the alarm bells are ringing there. Crazy that this comeback happened. And it shows the magic that's possible with the UFL or XFL or USFL or whatever you want to call it. Because, I mean, this is what's possible in this league is teams can come back with little to no time and pull this dub off.
Yeah, I mean, after we scored that the 10-yard touchdown to Stevenson to kind of get it rolling, then I was like, you know what? We got a shot. And sure enough, they pulled it off. And it was an incredible game. I wish I could have watched it live and been there with you guys. I saw you guys a little bit on television there. You and Hornsford, and then you got those great video clips on the sideline. I don't know if anybody saw those clips of the mariachi giving the sombrero to Wade Phillips. Matt was the one who filmed all that from the sideline. So props to you for that.
Hey, I appreciate it. It was a good time. And guys at home, if you're watching this, check out the socials. I'll be adding a bunch of stuff to Instagram tonight, but Facebook and Twitter, YouTube all have these clips on there. And I've got more to add. I just haven't had time yet.
Oh yeah, I mean, we could spend a whole day talking about just this one game. So I'm trying to keep it compact, and we've got to guess and be respectful of that. But yeah, it was a tremendous game. Of course, San Antonio's looking forward to St. Louis. That's the next stop on the revenge tour, but we won't get into that too much.
Yeah, no worries. Hopefully we can get back on and maybe do a breakdown soon. But let's talk about that last play or the last drive, man. I mean, as a fan, what were you thinking as you seen these guys line up for that 4th and 12 and attempt to get that ball back?
Honestly, I kind of felt like we were due. We were due for something like that. It's kind of a makeup for the first game in San Antonio against St. Louis, where AJ McCarron did a 4th and 15 to us. So I was like, you know what? We're kind of due. We're kind of old. Let's complete this comeback and get the ball in the end zone and get this W and get out of Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, it was epic, man. It was such a good play. And then when they got the opportunity, who else but Cody Latimer to be there, man? I mean, that is the guy that you want to depend on in the red zone, no doubt.
He got a little bit more targets this week versus last week, and of course that big one at the end. But they're starting to spread the ball around a little bit more. Kirkland obviously got his catches.
Yep.
Stevenson did real well, and of course, like I said previously, once they start realizing all the weapons they have, this offense is going to be unstoppable.
Yeah. And hopefully they don't have to – it doesn't take as long for them to wind up this week 3 game. I'm hoping that they really get off the block, fired up, and ready to go.
Yeah, let's not wait till the 4th quarter again. Let's not do that against St. Louis at home. Let's not do that.
Yeah, I agree. And I found it interesting that, Chase Garbers, he was the safest quarterback this last week, week 2. He most of his passes were 10-yard passes. There wasn't much that went on down the field. So it really shows that they take what they can get. And as a coach, they're scheming and trying new things as well.
Yeah, and that's a credit to Garber as well, because he's smart enough to understand you take what you can, you get what you can. Even if it's dinking and dunking, you get down the field, you get first downs, and eventually you get a touchdown.
Yes, sir. Now, before you roll out, I want to talk about the attendance. We had 8,971 in attendance. I mean, honestly, they were spread out there in Memphis. I know we had it all on one side of the field, but it would have been a better view to see more people there, more bodies, no doubt. I was a little disappointed. Me as a media, I mean, I was there 2 or 3 hours early, and there was a lot of events going on around Liberty Stadium. One was a cancer walk called Walk with Your Sisters or something like that, and I stayed in an Airbnb very close by. I mean, it was right in front of the stadium. So the morning I get up, I'm like, man, they're tailgating. They're getting down over there. This game's about to be legit. This is about to be, I mean, it was loud. It was shaking the house we were staying in. So I get my stuff on and I go that way and I find out, hey, this is not for the UFL. This is totally not for the UFL at all. And not a single one of those people attended the game. Was a little disappointed in that. I felt like that would have been a good opportunity to get some more bodies there, but it is what it is. And I don't know. I just wanted to note that because when I got there that morning, I was so excited. And it was disappointing to see that those folks did not make it.
And there was also an AAU basketball tournament going on there at the same time.
Yep. I mean, it was a busy weekend in general in terms of TV as well. You had multiple events going, multiple things happening, and this game started at 11 a.m. And that's killer.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder how much that affected, total attendance, because I know last year even the Showboats in terms of attendance, they looked much better in the USFL. And I think all their start times were, delayed maybe like 2-3 local times. So today, 11 a.m. local attendance, who knows how much that affected them in terms of attendance. So.
Yeah, agree with that 100%. So we had 718,000 average TV viewers. It was on ESPN. It wasn't a bad showing for ESPN, but we definitely want to see some more views our way, better as we can get. In terms of showings, we were down a little bit across the board, and you'll see that as we go through each breakdown. But I mean, it's busy. These are 2 busy weekends so far. First was Easter weekend, and the next one we had a lot of different events going on TV and in person. So we'll see how everything plays out. But as far as the Brahmas, they're looking good, and they are leading that XFL conference.
Yeah, we want to stay there. It's very important to get these wins right out of the gate to stay ahead of the pack. If only the top 2 teams are going to the playoffs, we've got to do everything that we can to stay up on top.
Yes, sir. Agreed. That conference winning is going to be crucial, and got to keep on repping.
Especially with St. Louis and DC.
Yep. I appreciate you, Mike, man. Anything else you want to say to me or Aidan before you roll out?
Well, I not necessarily you guys, but the viewers. When we were talking about the numbers and attendance and things of that nature, specifically the attendance, I think that it will get better. I think that the merger kind of threw everything off a little bit. So when you schedule these events in these stadiums, you kind of get what you get because there's a reason why they're open if there's other events going on. So there's reason those stadiums are available. So this first season, I'm willing to give the UFL pass because it looks like they did a decent job getting in where they could fit in. So I'll grade them a little harsher next year or the third year, but that's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah. I'm the same with you on that. And as long as we don't see this dip down to the hundreds, 200,000s in terms of attendance, in terms of TV viewership, we should be fine. We all knew attendance was going to be choppy, and so far we're seeing the choppiness mostly come from the USFL crowds, and that's understandable because a lot of these folks weren't in their home markets, and it was just a different vibe. So it's going to take time to build that, but I totally agree with what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you, Mike. Hey, y'all check out Chewing the Cud with XFL Mike G and RJ Brahma Bulletin. That's Thursday at 7 p.m., correct?
Yes, sir. 7 p.m.
Y'all check it out, guys. They'll give some more breakdowns and really tell you more about San Antonio football in terms of the Gunslingers and the Brahmas.
Yes, sir. Get your guns up.
Appreciate you, Mike.
And your horns forward.
Have a good one. Hey, guys,
right,
if you're interested, all his stuff will be in the notes to find him as well. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you, dude. All right. Aidan, you got any comments before we roll on to our next game?
Brahmas Showboats. I think, frankly, the Showboats, that was their game to win. They went, I think I wrote about this in my power rankings article for UFL board. I think Showboats overall went 1 for 6 in the red zone there. They started off with a touchdown, right? And then 1 for 6. And from there, I think they settled for 4 field goals. So, who knows if we'll see, coaches maybe adjust down the line with, with how friendly the UFL is to comebacks, right? That you have the 4th and 12, onside kick alternative rule. You have, the kickoffs, which are extremely offensive friendly. So, I think the Showboats certainly had their chances there to put it away. They went for it. They settled for field goals. I think one of them was 4th and 3. Another one was, 4th and 5. Maybe I wonder how we'll see, coaches, adjust because, within 2 minutes and, having been come back on from down 19-8 is insane. Yeah. So that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with that. In any football game, if you see somebody come back that much, that's huge momentum swing, and there's got to be a lot of things that line up correctly for that to even happen. So, I knew that once they started moving that ball and they got some points on the board, they caught that momentum, man, and they took off with it. And if I remember correctly, they're the first ones that in the new league that have completed that 4th and 12 for a conversion.
I believe so. Yeah.
Any other team yet?
Yeah, I think Mike was talking about how the Battlehawks in the opener last year, they did it against the Brahmas. It was, I think, 12-3. And then, the Battlehawks had a nice little comeback there in the season opener for the XFL 2023. So, I guess full circle moment there for the Brahmas.
No doubt. I heard that Battlehawks there.
Yeah,
You've been looking on the socials a little much. I
I'm
know.
on my
I've
word.
been reading them myself, so I understand.
Yeah.
All right, let's work into the next game. And for the next game, I've got two pieces. We got two people. We'll have Brian coming in to tell us more about his breakdown of the game, and then after that, I'll have a clip from DeMarcus, and he kind of gives the breakdown from an Arlington point of view. And so we'll get Brian in here. Brian, what's up, man? How are you tonight?
Good. I'm ready to talk about the Bottlenecks, apparently.
It's loud where you're at. Where are you coming in at?
Yeah, so I'm actually at Busch Stadium, the Cardinals. I'm at a Cardinals game right now, and I kind of double booked myself, and I was like, it'd be kind of cool to, show off the stadium while I'm here, find a quiet spot, and talk about the Battlehawks. So.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the time, and that's awesome scenery. I know nobody's complaining, especially Battlehawk fans. They're loving it, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So you were in attendance for this game. How do you feel it went? Break it down a little bit for me and give me your points of views.
Yeah, so, it was a solid – sorry, I think somebody just hit a home run.
You're good.
I'm not hearing fireworks, but we'll see. No, yeah, so it was a solid game. It was a back-and-forth game, and it was one of those games where both quarterbacks were just good game managers. And it was hard to be a fan in terms of what our defense was doing, just because Luis Perez is so good at finding the holes in coverage, and we have sort of a bend don't break defense. So we didn't give up a ton of big plays, but we did. You give up a lot of completions to. You just saw a perfect example there on the screen, but back and forth game, 4 lead changes. We ended up coming out on top. And I felt pretty good about it, getting a game-winning kick after last week's heartbreak with that crazy Detroit kicker.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it was a fun game, a good quarterback play, and it was a solid, first game to the season.
So yeah, this game went basically back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was a good game. I enjoyed it. In terms of Battlehawk play, you had Marcel Aitman. He's leading the league right now in reception yards. So he seems to be that guy in St. Louis so far. Is there anything else any other stars that you really want to shine on or hit while we're talking about the Battlehawks?
Yeah, there's a couple. And honestly, when you're going into this year, you think Ja'Cour Peterson, and then he gets injured. And then you're thinking Akeem Butler, who led the league in receptions last year. And then he's not doing much, but it's Marcel Aitman who is sort of like the star right now. And which is odd because if you look at last year, he was wide receiver 1, but and he was out a few games, but he did not have this type of production last year. So it's sort of odd to see him sort of come out like this so strong, and AJ targeted him and for a lot of big plays. My favorite, the 2 bigger guys that I wanted to focus on were Mateo Durant, who was our third string inactive running back last week. And if you watched the Battlehawks game last week, you saw we had a lot of issues with running backs. And so Jacob Saylors, our RB2, was sort of demoted to inactive, and Mateo Durant was brought up to the active roster. And he came in just on fire. He hit holes pretty explosively, and he knew what he was doing, and he had that same fire that he did coming in last year for Brian Hill when he got injured. So Mateo Durant, and then Pita Taupenu, always a stud, coming from the Seattle Sea Dragons last year, winning the XFL Defensive Player of the Year. Just a solid player, and he's starting to show. He had 2 sacks this Saturday, and is just creating a lot of pressure constantly for the quarterback, and it's just so fun to watch.
Yeah, he's a beast, and I want to note too that he came from the Vegas Vipers. I don't want to.
Vegas Vipers.
I don't want him to come from my head. So
Vegas Vipers. Sorry, I'm mixing up Ja'Cour Pearson after I said that he came from Vegas. Yeah.
Hey, you got a lot going right now, man. You're at a baseball game, so I understand. Yeah. What were you saying, Aidan?
No, I'll just add, as Brian was saying, that was, great. I think that was the best game of the UFL season to date. It was back and forth. The great environment obviously added to it. It was good quality football. I think that was the best game we've seen all year. And then, came down to the nail at the end there. So I thought that was a great game to watch between the environment and the great football.
Yep. 40,000 strong. How loud was it, Brian?
So I have season passes for the lower bowl, and that has always been a rocking place. So I went up into the nosebleeds. It was a little quieter, but I'm telling you, when you're in that lower bowl, it's louder than any, NFL college game you can get to. So it sticks up to, all of that hype that you hear about and see on TV. It's really awesome. And that environment is just electric. Like it's on 24/7. Once you walk in, everybody's excited to be there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was there in the 2020 season, and man, it was good times looking back.
Mm-hmm.
I still got the videos to prove it for sure.
Yeah, the 2020 when Jordan Thomas was the quarterback. I went to all of those games, and it was just so fun. I'm from Chicago, so I've been rooting for Chicago teams, and if I'm a Cubs fan in a Cardinals game right now, so I've definitely never felt welcome in St. Louis sports. So finally having a football team and going to those 2020 games was awesome, and it's just been great to see it be picked up again in 23 and then now in 24 with the UFL.
Agreed, man. Agreed. And you made some good points. I mean, the athletes are watching as well. There's going to be key players for you. Once Ja'Cory Pearson gets back, I mean, those Battlehawks are going to be looking a lot different, in my opinion.
Right. And I kind of talked about, I'm going to get an article out here in the next day or two, I think, talking about this, but we were talking about the odd man out on the offense, and I think it's going to be Darius Shepard, but he has a huge role on special teams. It's just, Pearson, Aitman, Butler, Shepard on, as receivers on a team is just sort of, insane to think about. Those would all be wide receiver ones on any other team. So, a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but I think it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I mean, that when I first was looking at this team in the offseason, when they first did the rosters, to me, this was the strongest in terms of receiver core. So hopefully they pick it up and they find their true point in all this UFL stuff, I tell you, though, I was impressed with it. Both of these teams battled it out, and it really just came down to who you had playing, in my opinion, who was there. And so I enjoyed it. And the 40,000 in attendance, we had 40,317 in attendance. And then we had over 900,000 in average TV viewers on ABC. I almost screwed that up really. Score was 27-24. Battlehawks pulled it off.
Yeah, good day to be a Battlehawks fan.
Well, yeah, that I think that was going against Alabama, UConn, right? This game was going, so it makes it even more impressive that they were able to draw, close to 1,908. It's definitely, great considering
WrestleMania.
That too.
Well.
Yeah, that's right. That's a pretty big deal for most people too. So considering all weekend, just with how the UFL competed with the college basketball, WrestleMania, as you said, I think very a good sign.
Right.
Agreed.
And just a quick note: there's a Cardinals game earlier that day at 3:00. There was a St. Louis City Soccer, which, if you know anything about St. Louis, their soccer is like packed out every week.
Yep.
So there's major sports happening in person in St. Louis. I think that they said there was over 100,000 people at sports games in St. Louis that day. So,
wow.
And I was surprised at our number, the 40,000 plus. We talked about it in the pregame, but it didn't look like it at times. But when you consider the 400 level section, it probably filled out to just over 40,000.
Yeah. I know when I was there previous, that 31,000 felt tight, dude. There was no room to wiggle in there. You could barely get in the restroom, get a drink, anything. It was tight. So
right.
Hopefully that keeps going strong there in St. Louis.
Yeah, if the Battlehawks make the Super Bowl, or not the championship,
that'd be awesome.
I think we might see 50,000.
No doubt. I think you'll see that either way.
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna bring a lot of people. I'm gonna go regardless, and I'll bring all my friends. So 38,000 more friends. But yeah, I know we'll have a huge crowd for the championship game. That all the forums we hear, everybody saying they want to go to it. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun game.
You think even if the Battlehawks don't make it, there'll still be a really good turnout, you think?
Yeah, so it's one of those things where people just want to watch good football. So when Mizzou comes in and they'll play some games in the dome every once in a while, and sometimes they'll have like some random scrimmage games with some teams and some college teams, and they'll play in the dome, and it always fills out. Everybody shows up, so they love good football here.
Gotcha.
You are
Sounds
loyal, that's for sure. Well, Brian, you want to leave us with any wise parting words before we get DeMarcus's clip rolling?
I was just going to say, I'm going to share this to you, but we have a really cool, my friend came in from the channel That's Good Sports and recorded a cool video, and it was his first time at a UFL game, XFL game, any spring football game. And he had a really cool breakdown of the day, really funny. And I'll share that out. It was cool to see from his perspective. So I just want to give a shout out to my friend Johnny, and I'll get that out to you, Matt, to see if you want to share that on any platforms for anybody to watch.
Yeah, for sure, man. Please do. Shoot me a link as soon as you can, and I'll add it to the notes for sure, and then I'll share it on my end, no doubt. All good. All for the love, man. If you got something you're saying is worth seeing, then let's see it,
Yeah, definitely.
I appreciate your time, Brian. Enjoy that game, dude.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir. We'll see you soon. All right. So there was Brian. Brian's a writer for us here at AFN. He's covering St. Louis in its own. So he's doing a pretty good job. He keeps busy, and he does his own things socially as well. He does some podcasts and stuff. So guys, if you want to check him out more, I'll include that in the show notes as well. There's just too many to include in a rolling line at the bottom. There's too many names. So Aidan, let's play this clip from DeMarcus, and then I want to hear some of your thoughts on everything. Like I said, this clip from DeMarcus basically just breaks down the Arlington game from the Arlington point of view. I mean, it's coming from that point of view. So without further ado, here's DeMarcus talking more about the game in Arlington, or I'm sorry, in St. Louis against Arlington.
First quarter, it seemed like a continuation. And that was, as a matter of fact, that was my thought, that we pretty much look exactly the same. We couldn't really get a running game going. I thought that this time we saw some good pockets for Perez. He seemed to be able to distribute the ball. It seemed like he was seeing the field a whole lot better, or at least he had enough time to see the field. But we didn't really get much out of the run game, which is going to factor in later on. But a positive from the first quarter is that it did seem like the Renegades were able to give Perez better pockets. Second quarter is where we see both teams hitting their stride. St. Louis put up the first points with a 24-yard pass to Aitman. We see Perez able to convert a 2nd and 12 to Van Der Esch, which kept their drive going so that they could respond. And then Lindsey Scott was able to get a 6-yard run to tie the game at 8, both teams going for 2-point conversions after their scores. Both teams would go within the third quarter, would put up a couple of field goals, and that seemed to be kind of where the teams kind of started to diverge. You see, for the Renegades, you see the running game mostly given up. Even some of the things that they were trying to do with Lindsey Scott, they kind of pulled back on, because even some of his design runs didn't really seem to be working all that well. You even hear Perez say, we can't go run, pass. It just didn't seem like it was, they were not able to use the run to help set up the pass in any kind of way. And so what you start to see them do more of is screen passes to kind of supplement what the run would have been able to do. Perez converts a big third down, 3rd and 11 to Javonte Payton, helps set up a TD pass to Saul Cannella that gives them the lead 17-14. You got about 28 seconds left in the third when that happens. But again, to show you how quick these games are, right after that, the Battlehawks respond. They get a 53-yard TD bomb to Aitman that puts them back on top. Fourth quarter, though, you've got some effective runs by De'Veon Smith, but for the most part, again, this goes back to being able to mix in the run to kind of bleed out the clock. What you want to do in that situation when you have the lead is you want to kind of take some time off of the clock to kind of keep the other team's defense off the field. Other team's offense off the field. Renegades weren't really able to do that. However, the Battlehawks were able to mix in some things. Now, start of the fourth quarter, Luis Perez, seeming to not want to be outdone, goes right down the field, drops a 43-yard dime to Javonte Payton. That gets the Renegades there on the 25 of the Battlehawks. And this drive actually seemed to be one of the more productive run game drives that they had so far this whole season. They were to put together a series of consecutive runs that picked up a decent amount of yards. De'Veon Smith ends up going in, getting the short yardage TD. They convert a 1-yarder point after. Now, after St. Louis gets a tying field goal, you start to see where not having a bell cow, a consistent run game, starts to hurt the Renegades, because what they need to do in this situation is one or two things, if not both. They need to run the ball, drain the clock down, and they need to put up some kind of points to take the lead. It's 24-24 at this point. They threaten. They get a 3rd and 6. They throw the ball to Tyler Bonds. St. Louis is able to bat that down. That sets up a 46-yard field goal for Russolino. He misses. Mateo Duran exploits that. He gets a 41-yard run right up the middle, gets the Battlehawks immediately in field goal position. They drain the clock down, and then they end up with the walk-off field goal with 2 seconds left. Now, even though the Renegades lose this game, I thought they did a lot to try and find their identity.
All right, so there at the end, he was saying he feels like they found their identity in this game, and I agree with him. Personally, watching this game, I think they could have used more of Lindsey Scott. And that may be my opinion, but you could tell when he did get in, that it was a rhythm the offensive needed, and it got them fired up. And so I'm hoping that we see more of him as the season unfolds. And that doesn't mean he takes the job, but a few series a game is going to be crucial for that Arlington offense.
Yeah, I mean, Lindsey, I see people saying, like Panthers fans say, Panthers should trade for Scott or someone like Scott, because he's looked good. I mean, he's had limited reps, but they've used him, I guess, as a his mobility to their advantage there, and he's succeeded very well in his role. But I think DeMarcus hit the nail on the head there with a lot of the points he brought up from the Renegades. From a Renegade standpoint, I think offense looked great. Pass protection, and just blocking in general from the offensive line. I think that was good, and I think that's probably one of the biggest keys to success on offense. I think the Arlington Renegades are up there in terms of their offensive line. I think they got spring football king, as they call him, Luis Perez. They got a bunch of weapons too, between De'Veon Smith, Tyler Vaughns, Javonte Payton, Sal Cannella. The list goes on and on. But defense, I do think the defense needs some work. We saw rushing department. They let Mateo Durant, who was in his first game last week, he was inactive against the. He was inactive there in week 1, and he came on, burst onto the scene with 100 plus yards. So I think Renegades. I think the key to, if the Renegades want to rally from the zone 2 start, starts with beating the defenders. But I think the key there will be improving defense, especially that rush defense there, because we've seen it struggle even against the Stallions. So I think that will be a key moving forward. But I think the offense is in a good spot from what we've seen.
Yes, sir. Agreed. And we'll move on from that. We've talked about it for a while, but yeah. I mean, and as Rick 8-Bit said here, he says, "I'm not worried about the offense. That D has me worried." I think we all kind of feel the same right now, and they're one of the defenses that hasn't really caught their place yet, and they will. It's just going to take some time, I believe.
Yeah, agreed. I think some other defensive defenses have looked good, but Renegades definitely have to make some adjustments and figure it out if they want to make another championship run. So we'll see how they do it against DC, one game at a time.
Yes, sir. Agreed. All right, let's talk about our next game. We'll have Stallions 20, Panthers 13. I'm going to bring my guy Mike Bell in. Mike, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good, Matthew. How are you, Aidan?
I'm good. How are you? I'm good.
How you doing, Mike? You were at the game this weekend. How was it? Give us the rundown and give us any kind of little secrets you can give us from the actual attendance of the game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is homestand game 2. And I think it's interesting how the old adage of the more things change, the more things stay the same. And as much as the UFL and the former USFL and XFL are known for the new stuff that we're bringing into the game, the same adages still apply. Who can control the line of scrimmage? Who can establish the run game? Who can minimize turnovers? And it really felt like that defined this game. It was an old school kind of game to me. And I came into this game thinking about 2 questions. Are the Stallions the same championship caliber team that we've seen the last 2 seasons in the USFL with back-to-back championships? And for the Panthers, what is their identity this year? And so going into the first half, we see a continuation of last week. The Panthers defense proved formidable, holding Birmingham to 3 field goals on 3 big long drives. I thought they did a great job at containing the running quarterbacks of Corral and Martinez. They definitely gashed them. They definitely moved down the field, but they didn't give up the big QB runs that we saw last year against them. But unfortunately, the Panthers offense just could not get going and completely stifled by the Stallions defense with constant pressure and a complete collapse of that left side of the line. Honestly, I just kept saying it was the Titanic all game. It just felt like when they hit that iceberg and just had that giant hole and they just sank, could not get anything going. You could see EJ Perry so desperately wanted to be patient in that first half, get to a second read. And by the time he gets to that second read, he's got a hand on him. He's got passes batted down, and it really just stalled them out. They didn't have the ball much. But still, when you have a good defense, you can stay in the game. And EJ Perry, known for some big plays, especially last year against the Maulers in that championship game, 2 big passes, another one today with a 76-yard bomb to Marcus Sims, who was clocked at 21.5 miles per hour, highest speed of the week. And it was great to see that big play, but I just had this overwhelming feeling like, that's all we've done. That one play. And if we don't get other stuff going, this is going to be a long game. Still couldn't get the run game going, and we couldn't get the run game going all game. And it just so happened that 76-yard bomb was on a first read, and he launched it. Sims got open. It was perfect. So they're up 17. The Stallions ended up going up 17-7 before half, and we decided to try to replay last week. With only seconds to go, we get Jake Bates onto the 42-yard line, and he kicks a 62-yarder. I tweeted at the time, all that guy does is just kick 60-yarders, and it's crazy. At this point, that's all he has. So 17-10 going into the half. I thought the Panthers defense really locked in, even more so. Whereas last week against the Battlehawks, they kind of started to slip and let them back in. This week, they held their ground. They held them to 3 points. They got a crucial red zone interception against Matt Corral, first interception of the season for them. And it really kept them in the game and gave the offense chances. Unfortunately, the offense just couldn't get anything going. And you could really see the change in EJ Perry mindset. Instead of going to the second read, but after the first read wasn't open, he was scrambling out of the pocket.
Yep.
And I felt like I was watching Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears from 2 years ago when he didn't have an offensive line. And it was it was hard to watch. We had a ton of penalties on that final drive, personal fouls, got us all the way down the field, and we just couldn't help the D out. We couldn't get a score. We did get another Jake Bates field goal, another one over 50 yards. And I thought that just kind of defined what the Panthers are going through right now. Like, you got a guy that has a missile-guided system for a leg, and you really only have to get to what he proved last week, the 46-yard line. How many points could you score with this guy? You know, they should be putting up way more points, and they just couldn't get it done. So kind of to go back to those first two questions, I took away the Stallions are answering that question. Yes, we are a championship-level team. We'll be there all the way to fight for that championship and represent the USFL. And I think the Panthers' identity is unfortunately a Jekyll Hyde. That offense, wildly inconsistent. The defense doing good. And unfortunately, when you don't have wins on the board, Jake Bates is going to define your season, and he's special. He'll be in the NFL next year. But I think that the Panthers really need to dig down and find some answers for that, for the lack of time that they have in the pocket.
Agreed. Now I will say this was a good battle of defenses, and I enjoyed it greatly. And then we had a comment here from Chris. He said Panther defense is elite. Birmingham defense is elite plus. And I think that's an accurate statement.
That's perfect.
You know, I think the Panthers could have pulled this one off with a correct offensive stand, but we just didn't see much good offense. I mean, it just wasn't there. But I feel like that defense did great, man. I mean, they held Birmingham to 161 rushing yards, 4.9 yards per carry, and that was while they were doing different quarterback combinations throughout the whole game. So I thought that was fantastic, and it's good to see that team has a very strong point that should ride out to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that Aidan and I both agree we do not like the 2 QB system that Birmingham's running. I saw that you're in agreement on that. I just kind of wonder, where do you see that settling out? Do you think who wins that battle?
Well, I think so far we've seen that Corral is a better passer. He's graded as a top passer on Pro Football Focus. But Adrian Martinez definitely, I think he's a faster, a little bit more mobile on the ground there.
For sure.
But I think, the quarterback, main objective of a quarterback, you got to be able to throw the ball. We haven't really seen as much with Martinez's arm. He did I think he threw a pick against Arlington, but I do think ultimately it will come down to Corral. I think, I mean, unless they stick with the 2 quarterbacks system, I think Corral just has the edge with his arm talent. So I think that's where it will, if it does get settled, I think we'll see Corral win that battle.
Yeah, I agree. And Skip kind of talked about it in the post game. He was just saying, like, he wants both QBs to be ready. The only way to get them both ready is to give them reps. But I kind of got this inclination that he's worried about Corral's injury history and needing Martinez to not be ice cold. So, but I do agree with you. I think Matt Corral is the guy if they can settle down on that.
Aren't a factor. I think Matt Corral will be the guy. I really hope, because I think that's the key to finding consistency in a quarterback. I hope that eventually it's settled down to one guy. Maybe you'll see Martinez used maybe in certain packages, like the Renegades have utilized Lindsey Scott in certain read option plays. But I think Corral should be that guy for the Stallions. So
absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, when you saw them switch them out, you could tell a difference in that offense, and it was as clear as day from TV at least. And William here, he said, I don't think Coach Holtz will put up with another performance of his offense inside the red zone. There will be a difference in play. And I agree with that.
Said that's what they practice the most is red zone. So for them to come away, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the Panthers. They were so good in that red zone.
Yep.
Yeah, their defense is great. They did a good job holding the Stallions, as you said. They did the bending but not breaking in the red zone. But so we'll see how they kind of evolve as the season goes against teams maybe a little less talented than the Stallions with all the weapons they have.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got the return of Frank Ginda, league high 14 tackles. It was so good to see him look like himself again.
Oh, see, I have 19 tackles at this point for old Frank.
14 tackles on
Solo?
For the
Sunday,
week.
but
Got
18
you. My
tackles
bad.
overall. Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure it's clear. I never want to get people confused, you know.
Yeah, no worries.
That man's a beast, and I'm not taking nothing from his skills on that field.
Yeah.
You can see him everywhere. Chris said here, skip play calling is what won the game, and that's true, and for sure. They stayed right in it with all those kicks. But we had a question here from Rick 8-Bit. He said, how will Bates be kicking outdoors? So that's a pretty good thing to see. But in my opinion, if this offense doesn't figure itself out in Michigan, you're not going to get too many chances to kick the ball.
Right.
I mean,
3 field goals in 2 games, and all of them past the 50-yarder. Like, it's imagine what Bates could do on like the Stallions or the Battlehawks. It'd be crazy.
Agreed.
100%.
I will say that the fans, the electricity of the fans was a little bit dimmed down this week. I think it's because we were in a hole early. But when Jake Bates got on that field, the crowd was crazy.
Build him a statue is all I remember hearing.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the first guy once the season ends to get that call from an NFL team. He's already got an interest from, I think, like 10 different teams. So we'll see which NFL team wins his sweepstakes there.
Right, exactly.
It's gonna be a battle for him. To think he hasn't kicked since high school. That's absurd. Arkansas really missed out.
Yeah, and it was cool because even during halftime, I was keeping an eye on him. He didn't even go into the locker room. The Stallions kicker did go into the locker room. He just stayed out there and just kicked and kicked and kicked. And he didn't miss a single one.
Wow.
Yeah, you can expect him to be gone off that board real quick once the season gets close to ending for sure.
Yeah.
So we had 7,475 people in attendance. TV average was 903,000. 903,000. My God, I keep messing this up. Let me go back and change this real quick. In terms of the people there, how was the energy, man? How did you feel, especially compared to week 1 or week 2? I mean, how do you feel the difference was there?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fascinating because I was a little worried walking into the stadium. The Tigers were on in the same time slot. They just started their season. The Red Wings are in the playoff hunt in the NHL. They were going on at the same time. So, honestly, there was a sea of red going to the stadium of Red Wings fans mainly. So I knew that helped to take a hit from the attendance. But I am encouraged by the 903,000. I mean, that's pretty close to what the Battlehawks were doing, even though they were against a Final Four matchup. But the energy was good. I'm encouraged. I hope that we can get the attendance up, though. I noticed that Daryl Johnston was audibly upset about the Memphis Showboats attendance, and they had more than us. But the only thing I can think about is that the Showboats had $10 tickets and the Panthers were full price. So hopefully things can go up. I think we're at a pivotal time of the year for the UFL to show everybody that we're here to stay. Yeah.
And all these games they were all great games. Every game was won by possession, and that's it. So it was a great weekend for football in the UFL.
And Matthew, I was going to ask you, since you were such a big follower of the XFL last season, what's your perspective of how you feel the quality of play is compared to last season compared to this season with all the mixture of teams?
Much improved for the most part. Last season we definitely had to get off our rockers and get better as the season progressed. Last week's games really shown me where we're headed in terms of the league, in terms of play. I mean, it was very competitive. Nobody got an easy win this last week. Everybody had to work for it. So that was impressive. I can't remember exactly what the scores were last season, but I tell you, a lot of those games didn't come down to the wire until later in the season, from my experience. So far, it's a huge positive. You can see the play power we have there in terms of skill and players and coaches. And, it's just we got to keep showing up, keep showing out, and it'll grow. Just give it time.
I'll add to that. I mean, I think just offensive line play is the biggest thing that I think will dictate play quality. And I think, maybe except for the Panthers, I think we saw that improve, from even last week. And I think it'll continue to improve. But I think that will be key for most teams. And I think that will be key for, improving the product and making the product look good out there is line play. Letting run lanes get open, letting passing, letting timing in the pocket for passes. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. It just also penalties. We saw that killed the Roughnecks versus the Defenders, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But yeah, penalties too. Playing disciplined. Turnovers, keeping those at a minimum. I think that will be important to watch. But I think most of the teams have done a good job with that so far. And I think with that, just as season progresses, we see chemistries develop and we see discipline get better. I think things will improve. But I think it's been better from last season in the XFL comparing to the UFL. So we'll see how that evolves.
Hope it continues.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. I'll tell you, you can see, there's when a team has an injury on that offensive line, you can see a huge difference in terms of play this year. And they don't have many reservists ready to go in those positions.
Yeah,
so
the Panthers, both of their backup tackles were injured this week, so I'm sure that played a part in that left side of the line.
That's what I was going to say. It's fantastic that they're still able to work these teams without their starters and be able to perform, because last year you could clearly see some of those games were lost due to offensive line play. And it's understandable, but at the same point, it's like if that's crucial, make it crucial. Make it the forefront of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
XFLMikeG said the right tackles in the UFL flinched more than they did in the XFL.
Nice, Mike G.
I think it was Gene DeLance on the Defenders last week. He had five penalties, and then he got released because he spit on a player. He really let the frustrations out with that. And then he got released.
Still leads the league in penalties.
That's something to go down in the history books for.
Yeah, to think he had two touchdowns wiped for the Defenders because of his flags. That's absurd. So now he's gone. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yes, sir. Well, Mike, I appreciate you, man. Is there anything you want to say before you roll out?
No, appreciate you having me on. And Aidan, it's great to meet you. And thanks for being in this space. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Likewise.
Appreciate you, Mike. We'll see you. I guess we'll see you next week, man. Enjoy the week and good luck to your Panthers.
Thank you so much. Good luck to you guys too.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye. So Mike Bell's another writer we have on staff. He's a great guy. He's really excited about doing what he's doing. And ironically, he is one of the few that got season credentials with us. And so super stoked to see what he does and does with that position. I mean, he's doing great so far.
Yep.
It was rough pickings getting credentials this year compared to last year, I'll say.
Really?
I
haven't applied for that, but I'm sure the league. I know. I guess it's the XFL running things. I know they're a little tight with that and cutthroat in terms of giving out credentials.
Yes, sir.
I've heard that.
It's tough, but if whether you're a fan or watching as media, it doesn't matter. You can still get the same experience, and it's not like when I'm covering a game, I'm still having to go back and rewatch stuff. It's not like that's my all telling seeing eye of being there.
I've rewatched I think every game so far because it's so hard to pick up on everything. I'm writing my power rankings articles. I have to rewatch each game because second time you watch it, you rewatch it, you pick up different things that you hadn't seen live in person. So that's definitely something I've done as well.
Agreed. Let's roll into the next and last game of week 2. The Roughnecks at the DC Defenders. Roughnecks lost that one 18-23. This was another nail biter, though. Let's get Kenneth. KJ, how's it going, man? How's your night? Oh, you got to turn us up a little bit. You're a little quiet on us.
Is he muted?
No, I could hear him just slightly. You may have to turn your mic volume up. I could hear you. It just sounds like you're kind of far away. So I can hear you just a little bit. It's real quiet. May have to pull that mic out and go freebase with the computer.
Is it better now?
There you go. There you go. Now I hear you.
It was when I rewatched a clip of the podcast last week, it seemed echoey, so I was trying to use my headset. But I guess
Hey, no worries, man.
Either, so
It's all playing game with this stuff. Every week's different. It's a different issue.
IT troubleshooting on the clock, right? That's what
I'll tell you, I have issues every week of some different sort. Last week I was at the game in Memphis and I took 500 pictures. Well, there at the end, that last drive, I was on the field and things got crazy. I mean, it was crazy. And I'm just pictures, just taking so many pictures. Well, I go to look and my last 100 or so pictures did not work. The shutter was stuck on the camera. It was too bright, letting in too much light. So it basically took away all my stuff from that last amazing comeback win period. But anyway, I understand, KJ. It's all good. Get you on here today. We want to talk about the Roughnecks. I know you got to be a little upset from this loss because you guys had this one in the bag if you just could have marched down that field. So, man, tell us more about it and break it down, please.
Yeah, anybody can see my my Facebook page and watch the closing drive in which we fell apart there because I live shared it. But no, it was despite the loss. Once again, I guess I'm the cerebral optimist. I do think there's some good things to take away from the game as a whole. We obviously off the rip were struggling early. We didn't even get our first series successfully down the field before they had the punt, and then I believe it was blocked off the play. Thankfully, our identity is what we're known for. Still through week 2 is defense, and they responded almost immediately with that red zone interception that Tamu threw. I think DC's first series there in the red zone. So. You can't ask for a better response from a blunder such as a block punt like that, and I think we were on our side of the field when it initially happened. They marched down the field. I don't know if the first drive they were able to get points or not. No, we had several punts, I think. It was basically second quarter they started to roll. Unfortunately, Jarrett struggled that game. I will say, on paper and from what you viewed in the game live, he definitely did not look as good as he did week 1, and he had his struggles plenty week 1. So a lot of people were excited to see when he got hurt, unfortunately, to see Reed get an opportunity to come out there and play pretty much almost a full game. I think it was second quarter when Jarrett went down. And Reed came in to relieve him, but he was pretty accurate, I would say. I think 60% around there. I'm looking at the stats. Couple throws that were a little off here and there, but for your QB2, quote unquote, I think he did a great job. We took the lead and then kind of just struggled to hold on to it. I feel like once we got down, one thing I was noting looking back, in the presence of watching the game. Was it Saturday or Sunday? I can't remember. Sunday. Mm-hmm. My whole viewpoint through the game was good for the most part. And then, there at the end, I felt like is where they fell apart. Well, as I was kind of recapping over the past couple of days and even up till this evening for the podcast, I noted that honestly, as much as that roadblock we hit, I guess if you want to call it that last series to get down the field and try to score to get the lead back was what most people are going to think is the reason we lost the game. I was looking back at the stats. The one thing that stuck out to me was that in both of the times that we had scored, we were completely, we had 0% of efficiency with regards to the extra point completions. You tack on those 4 extra points and we're only down by 1, which means they don't even have to flirt with the end zone that final drive. They can settle for a field goal. Reed spikes the ball, and it's, we have a chip shot win like Michigan had against St. Louis. So, in my opinion, that was surprising and enlightening to me because I honestly was not aware of that or didn't consciously think of it, recapping kind of the highlights in my mind of the game. So, penalty-wise, I will say they did improve substantially from week 1. We had about, I think, less than half of the total yardage we had in week 1. We were at around 90 yards, 89, I think, for week 1's total cumulative penalty weight. And this week they only had, I think, about 38. Unfortunately, still, when you put it side by side with the defenders, we were almost double what they had in terms of both penalty numbers and associated yardage. So it's something they still have to improve on for us to be an effective, full, cohesive unit, I think, in game. The ball possession, obviously, another attribute carrying over from week one that was not perfect in this game. You could arguably say that we wouldn't even had to stress at all if that fumble hadn't occurred on the one long pass from Reed to, I forget who it was, the young kid that Kirk that got injured. If that turned into a touchdown, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I'd say it's game over. But if the rest of the game occurred and drew out how it occurred on Sunday. But some encouraging points there. Obviously, defense played great and tried to give us a chance in the game. It was frustrating to me just to see Reed play so well through the game, and then the two biggest things I felt like I saw that were lacking in that final drive was his awareness of the play clock and his just general urgency. Yep. It was I think it was either the first or second time we moved the chains into their territory past the 50. And he was I think he almost in a split second was unaware of the, present UFL rules with the clock rolling. And literally the camera was on his face when he did a double take and was like, oh crap, we have to actually move. And so that's when I was like, oh my gosh, come on, man. I was screaming in my lap chat. I was like,
he was walking and
I was just like, you are the leader, my guy. You got, the whole offense is going to key off of your level of urgency. If you have it or you don't have it, everybody's going to mirror that. So that was one frustrating tidbit I would say I took from it. Obviously, I hope going forward that, all of our games aren't this close, but with the way things have gone, it's an understandable, for some people out there to expect that to be the case. And if that ends up happening in these weeks ahead, I would say that's probably his biggest point of improvement he needs to work on, because he was, as we said, fairly efficient as just a passer in general. Didn't throw any picks. Couple balls, I think, were actually on target, and the receiver may have bobbled them or dinged off a shoulder pad and was almost picked off, but that's not on him. Obviously, that's just a cohesive component of the receiver taking in the ball when it's thrown to him. So, that last play was just a complete, utter shambles play. Yep. But no, I was excited to see them play so well, especially against a crowd like DC. I had made my picks amongst our unit of contributors and writers this week, and prior to the weekend, I was kind of second guessing myself, like, man, did I just make a blunder, dumb pick? Because DC has a good home crowd, they do, and I just, the cerebral optimist in me is going to continue to pick my team, I think, for a while until I get one right, or I'm going to either do the opposite, be like, I'm going to pick against y'all, but I'm still going to root for you. So we'll see how it goes. But it was a good game, enjoyable. Like I said, I think they have points to improve upon. If we can continue to improve on the penalties, I'd like to see, near nil completed next week. That would be could end up being the theoretical, difference in the game outcome next week against Michigan. And I'm not concerned or worried about Reed. I'm sad we don't have Jarrett, but I was talking to a fellow fan who felt like Reed actually has played better in that game versus Jarrett, which he did against DC. Obviously, Jarrett's window of playtime was limited. I think he only had through 11 passes total or something like that. He hadn't thrown a lot of deep balls. I know in week one we played Memphis. I did like the fact that he was, I think, second highest or the highest in QB efficiency week one. But I'm very grateful that, despite the fact that we don't necessarily have an A star in Case Cookus as our QB, they did something right when they were doing the draft to try to at least build depth, which you talked about for the O-line in some of the other games. QB is obviously, the staple position that you want to have some depth in, because you never know when your main man's going to go down. So,
and down he went. What they're reporting now is a rib injury for Jarrett Garantano, right?
Yeah, he's going to be out for, I think they said at least a month, so maybe more. So
he didn't hit IR. He's just projected to be out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they've actively placed him on there. They could. I don't know
I've been waiting
what the rules are for that exactly, but
I wouldn't the official injury report before I really say anything.
Yeah. It'd be curious to see if they even try to maybe, if they can put him on IR and grab a third QB just to, mix up the QB room a little or whatever. I don't know if that's a position or a strategy that Coach Johnson would ever want to employ, but it's worth, throwing in the hat, if you will. So I will say, if we can get our rushing yards, was probably the only blemish in all the stats I looked at the game. We were better than them in the air. We were better than them, than the defenders in yards after the we had really, it was just, it summarized its efficiency when you have the ball is what made the difference between us and DC. And every, singular line item from a tracking standpoint, for the most part, we were in the lead in every way. It just points on the board and, locking it in, securing it when it matters. So.
Yeah, we had 15,052 in attendance, and it looked like it on TV as well. DC's always a big one, a big name there. The snakes were rolling. I think we had a 2-headed snake at one point as well. And then we had 100,000. Say that number for me, Ken. I'm messing this up. You're good with numbers.
849,000.
Okay, just making sure. Average TV viewers on Fox. So this one was surprising to me. I thought we'd get a little higher on Fox. And this game was an ideal time. I was thinking this would have a little bit more participation from the fans at home, but we'll see how things go as it unfolds. I think both of these teams, they were kind of sleeping weeks 1. So week 2, somebody had to wake up and play this game, and that's what it looked like.
Yeah, they definitely both came to play, but obviously one wanted it more than the other. So, I mean, that's just the way it rolls sometimes. I'm surprised so many people, to your point, speaking on the viewership, like I'm completely sick of seeing UConn in the Final Four. And you think, unless you're a UConn fan, you'd want to watch something else instead of see your team not be in the dance, let alone win it. So, got a bunch of Boilermakers and Huskies, I guess.
I put blind
around the country. So,
Aidan, I seen you were making a comment, man. What you got?
I think, I was talking about the rushing game, how the Roughnecks rushing game struggled. I think Mark Thompson, I think it was game time decision. So hopefully, for Roughnecks fans, he's back soon enough. But I think he could address some of those issues for you guys.
For sure.
Department. So
that's good to hear. If that was the case, that's encouraging to think that he might be back then next week. So
I hope he comes back. But I'm going to tell you, from my end of things, I heard conflicting information that he was still going to be out. So
yeah, see, like,
goes.
And I'm not saying that you're wrong by any means. I would say, I guess, what we heard early in the week from Coach Johnson directly was like he wouldn't even give an ETA, and I'm like, well, that's not that's not a good look at all. Nobody's going to expect squad from this week. So, but I mean, if he made that much progress during the week,
I hope he's back.
You're there. Yeah, it'll benefit our offense immensely. So.
Yeah, I've heard this from someone. He was a game time decision going into week 2. I think he might have been questionable. So I guess we'll see how that progresses into week 3 here.
They usually drop the injury reports Wednesday night is when they start releasing them, I think. So we'll see what happens. They'll drop on Twitter/X very soon. But yeah, that's just from talking amongst other people that I was told that, he's a little more hurt, banged up than what they thought. Judging from my end of things, I've asked Coach this question a couple different times on different situations. And like Ken said, I mean, it's almost that general basic answer where, we don't really get anything concrete enough to presume anything. I mean, we don't even know what's going on. So I'm right there with you. Now let's talk about Kirk Merritt being injured, though. That's a big one, man. He was filling a couple different spots on that Houston team, and he looked good. And so former Saint, I know him very well. Unfortunate, I believe he broke his wrist. Is that what they're reporting?
It was some type of arm injury. Yeah, they said he tried to brace himself, I think, when he was falling back. The camera angle, it was frustrating me because I wanted to see a different camera angle to see how he actually fell on it, and they didn't change, I don't think, once from that recap of that play. It was just simply the main TV camera angle or whatever.
Yeah, so. I think Kurt Menefee, who was one of the guys doing the broadcast, he said he fell on his wrist after going down with that after that fumble. So tough loss for Houston.
Yeah, he was breaking out.
Yeah,
he's a fast guy too. That's the speed attribute. I think what helps when you can break away down the field, and that it opens up your pass play potential immensely. So.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. We'll see what they do there. And I don't know. Like you said, do they move Jarrett to IR and fill that spot, or what? What exactly are we going to do? And hopefully,
for a month. I think the IR thing is the minimum time to miss on the IR is 5 weeks. Yep. So I think the logical move is to move him to the IR so you have space to add another quarterback. It should be interesting to see who they go with if they decide to add another quarterback. Kenji Bahar, who was the Gamblers, the Roughnecks were the Gamblers last year. He was a Gambler starter last year. He was average. The Roughnecks, I think, had a 5-5 record. with Behar. He was I think he started all the 10 games, but he was released early on during training camp, and I was shocked considering he was how well he knows the system, and
Right,
I
that's right.
don't think he played bad last year. So I wonder what went wrong there. So we'll see. Maybe they give him another look with Guarantano down. So yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, Ken, before you go, I had some comments from Rig Rocker. He said, "What's up, y'all?"
What's up, man? Yeah, they got to give a shout out to Rig and Mr. and Mrs. Predator. I'm a little jealous, but give them an attaboy because they took the trek all the way up to DC. I think we're the only traveling Roughnecks fans, at least documented from a media standpoint. They took one on the chin. Flickr, I think, I forget the media source that does camera reporting there. I think it's the same group that had a traveling photographer that came down for the game at Rice week 1, but they made some shots there. And then the notable point was, I think both Rig and Mr. and Mrs. Predator, all three of them, I believe, they can correct me if I'm wrong here, got to help in holding out the flag pregame for the anthem prior to kickoff, which, I mean, I couldn't ask for a more patriotic contribution to any sporting event. I think that's pretty cool. So
Agreed. I like how they do it so far in the UFLs too. I mean, I've been in 2 games. They have the flag ceremony, they sing, and then they shoot fireworks. And I love that.
Right. Yeah, I was with so much bravado that was getting projected in our game at Rice. I was honestly expecting some F-14s or 16s from Arlington Field to fly over, but it didn't happen. So probably not in the budget, most likely. So
Rig Rocker, he said, Predator Couple and I have made it up to Connecticut on our way up to Detroit. So they're heading to their next location, man. That's super fans right there. Much respect, guys and gals.
That sounds like a bit of a detour, Rig. You must be taking the scenic route there. You do have all week, so there's not a rush, clearly. But.
That's awesome. And then he responded to you. He said, "Yep, all 3 of us."
Nice. Yeah, that's what I thought. So very cool. Yeah, and I've got my travel games planned. I'm not discounting my super fandom by any means. It's just, for me, it's 2 more based on convenience, being a dad and having present other responsibilities that I kind of manage with the sports stuff. But I'll definitely be at our Memphis game week 10, and then I believe we play Birmingham week 8 right before we come home for our final home game against Michigan for week 9. So all 3 of those I'll be in attendance in succession, which is good.
I will probably try to attend to Memphis, and we'll see what goes from there. I don't know. I don't want to push myself too far doing all this. Last week wore me out. This week wasn't as bad, but I understand, man. Like I tell everybody, real life comes first, and you can't do this stuff unless you do the real life stuff correctly. So I get it. And, hey,
Tiger Woods would disagree, but yeah, I concur with your deduction there. There's a level of priorities that need to be maintained. So.
he was raised that way, sir. He's a little different than me and you.
Touche, yeah, that's right.
Mentality.
That is fair.
But yeah, man, Kenneth, I appreciate you, dude, and look forward to your next breakdowns, man. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say before you get off air?
I mean, biggest thing I would say, silver lining wise, I'll be down for the Arlington game, our next home game after Michigan. Hypothetically speaking, if the little things can improve, even if we don't get Mark Thompson back, I would say I have confidence, and this is a little jab at the Arlington Dallas folks, but clearly we have the better kicker. So if it has to come down to it, I'm confident we can pull out the W.
I like Taylor, man. That's my guy. That's my guy now. I appreciate you, Kenneth, KJ.
Thank you,
man. Appreciate it again. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, any comments you got about this, or we move on, Aidan?
I think next week, Roughnecks Panthers. That's going to be quite a defensive battle there. I think those are 2 teams that are, I guess, dominated by their defenses, and I think there are some playmakers. Frank Ginda with the Panthers, Beelan Speaks, just a bunch of guys, and then Roughnecks got Chris Odom, they got Ruma Foster, Corn Elder. So I think that's going to be. Yeah, that's going to be a defensive battle right there. If you're into watching those next week, Panthers, Roughnecks.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty good game in general. And both of those offenses, we'll see what happens, but they both need to step up. It's clear as day that Reed did better, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
I was surprised he was never the starter from the beginning. I guess Coach Johnson saw something in Jarrett Guarantano, but recently he was coming off a stint in the NFL with the Bengals, I believe, and he was I think he was on their practice squad, and he was with them, I think, up and through October. So I was surprised considering how recently, with his NFL experience, that Guarantano won the job. But I guess now Sinet's going to be the QB1 for at least the next month. So we'll see how the Roughnecks offense improves with that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I can't really say much bad about him except for that game-finishing drive. That was just piss-poor effort, and
Hmm.
hopefully we see more and better things in this future game.
Oh, yeah.
So that
Yeah.
wraps it up on our game breakdowns, man. We spent an hour and a half, so we went a little longer than what I wanted, but it was good and productive. We had some good conversation. Before we move on to just discussing quickly the games next week, is there anything you want to mention about this week 2 breakdown?
No, I mean they did a great job. Everyone
I
you had
think so
on,
as well.
breaking down everything. They all had their opinions on their respective teams and matchups that they were, I guess, covering, and they did a great job, covering all of it really.
Yeah,
So yeah,
great job. Great guys. Appreciate you guys coming
yeah.
on, spending your time with us. It's a good time. And you as well, Aidan. I mean, coming on a weeknight, spending a couple hours doing this, I mean,
Yeah.
that's free time. So thank you. And I appreciate the guys in AFN. It's been great. And they keep doing their thing and stepping it up. And we just keep getting better and better as it goes.
Yeah, they did a very in-depth analysis. I enjoyed it.
Yes, sir. Me as well. Let's just get into week 3 games. Now, we're not going to talk about this detail, and you can feel free to throw in any kind of conversation you want, but I just wanted to review who, where, and when. So Saturday, April 13th, we have the DC Defenders at Arlington Renegades. That game is at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, and it's on ESPN. So we get away from that 11 o'clock time. We move it up to noon. Personally, I feel like this is going to be better on attendance as well as TV viewing. Be a good game to start the week off as well between these two.
Yeah, I don't know who they're competing with in terms of the local market or TV. Now that the March Madness is over, that makes it maybe a little easier. I think the league did a good job competing against March Madness through the first 2 weeks. So hopefully that opens up a slew of viewers to hopefully tune into football with the UFL. So yeah, we'll see. I know a lot of people are checking like Ticketmaster, seeing
Yep.
what they think is going to happen with the with attendance, but I really don't fall down that rabbit hole because I don't think it's too accurate. So we'll see. But the Renegades had a great crowd in their season opener, so really ideally they could keep that going, in that 14,000, 13,000 range, and I think they'll be in a good spot. So
Yeah. They did do a good job on that game opener, and it should grow more. There was a lot going on that day for week 1 matchup, so I think it'll alleviate some fans to hang out at this new game. And what I've been seeing too is UFL's running a lot of ticket specials on different locations, depending on
yeah,
where you
I
are.
think I don't know if that's the best thing because I think usually that indicates that sales are below their expectations. But I think the key is viewership is their main source of, I guess, revenue. The main thing, I guess, the big guys that Fox and Disney want to see.
Yep.
And I think with viewership will come, a more established fan base. You give fans free tickets or reduced price tickets, and I think that will help with the product even on TV. People don't want to see an empty COVID stadium. They want to see fans having fun there, and turning out. So I think that's a strategy in terms of trying to get as many fans as possible to turn out to games, and because I think if you see that that'll just all happen naturally.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. There's nothing worse than watching those empty stadium games on TV. It's very boring. It's hard to get into it. I haven't attended one in person, so I can't speak on that. But, even Memphis with its smaller numbers, there was a lot of energy and noise there. And shout out to Horns Forward Podcast as well. I forgot to shout them out. They were just about the only party there representing San Antonio. And I didn't even know where they were until I could hear them hollering from the field. I could hear the noise they're making. I just followed it to them, found them. They were sitting on right there, close as they could get to the field. And shout out Horns Forward. There's some ride or die fans as well. So good stuff, guys, repping your team.
Yeah, respect.
Seriously.
Respect.
Seriously. They told me they were going to go have some barbecue after. But from my opinion, Memphis barbecue is not as good as Texas barbecue. I'm sorry. It just doesn't hold up, dude. No, it doesn't do it. But yeah, let's get back on to the next game. The Saturday, April 13th, the second game on that Saturday slot, Memphis Showboats at Birmingham Stallions. That game's at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's on Fox. So that's a bigger station. We should have more viewers there, hopefully.
Oh yeah, that primetime slot, I think.
Yep.
I think 1 million should be the goal, ideally.
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens with that. I think two good teams too. The Showboats, a little inconsistent. They've started off strong in both their games, and then second half on Saturday just kind of unraveled there. So we'll see what they bring against the Stallions, but I think it'll be a tough test, to be frank.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with the Memphis is they just got to hold up. They've got to go a whole game of play. They can't stop, and their defense is stout that way as well. So definitely going to see some more battle of defense here because Birmingham's right there with them in terms of just defensive powerhouse. I mean, they're there and they're not going anywhere. I'm gonna hit up the comments real quick. Chris over here going crazy. Chris said Birmingham 3-0 easy.
My personal prediction is that it will happen. I think they've just been more consistent. I think defensively I think they're a little better. Offensively, maybe a little more even. But I think Birmingham will come away with this one in their home opener. We'll see how the fans turn out too. I see people on Twitter saying that Birmingham's offering $10 tickets. That can't be a good thing. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of uproar on the socials trying to get more people out. I've seen that as well.
Yeah.
Man, I got to quit saying all the time. I'm trying my best, guys.
I got to do that too. I noticed I catch myself saying those filler words. But
so
it's all good.
I've seen, like I said, there is some other event going on with Alabama down there. They're having some type of spring game.
Yeah, I think that the Crimson Tide are having their Alabama. Yeah, they're having their spring game. I think at 3 o'clock. I'm not even close to Alabama, so I don't really know about that. But I think people are saying that's going to take away some football fans. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Agreed. Hopefully they get them out. And my thing on it, man, is give those tickets away for free if you even have to, because you can still make money off merchandise, off of the returning people that are coming back to watch again the following week, and just get people in those seats. So I know you said it doesn't look good, and I agree with that to a stance, but I think they're really just pursuing the TV viewership, and
I think that's the main
USFL type setup that we had.
Yeah. I mean, even the Battlehawks, it's just so much more. Yeah, the Defenders too, because they pull good crowds. They fill most of their stadium, considering it's 20,000 person capacity. So I think really just getting more fans in the stands just makes it look better on TV, a better product, just overall. So I think that's key. Than just watching the Battlehawks games is so much more to look forward to, because you're gonna have like an electric oh my God, I can't speak. Atmosphere, 40,000 in attendance. If they could, if that could be their average, that'd be great.
Yeah, it will be great, and I think they'll keep stepping it up their way. I'm not really worried about the Battlehawks at all. It's the names that we know, and I won't shout them out yet. I won't bring too much attention to them, but in a few more weeks, we'll really be able to sit down and see where the weakest franchises are in this UFL game.
Yep. And we'll see. I know the league is looking. I know, I think 2 weeks ago we saw trademarks for I think for the Cannon Bulldogs and the Nashville Tuners. So that's definitely a little more rumor mill speculation. But do we see maybe some of these teams go away and get replaced? If they continue to struggle. So I guess time will tell, or maybe we'll see expansion. I know the league wants to possibly sell these teams off to owners sooner rather than later. So we'll see what happens in terms of expansion. But we should definitely get through season 1 first before we talk about plans for the 2025 season. So
Yeah, agreed with that. And I try not to get too much into that realm because people get a little worked up when we start talking about that. But I mean, a team like Memphis really needs an owner. It would make a big difference there for them to have an owner to do
I think
things.
owner of FedEx, Fred Smith, I think his name he has come. I think he's come to the kind of the forefront there. With I think he was one of the guys who pushed for the Showboats to come in the USFL, and I think he's kind of emerged as possibly a future owner of the Showboats. So that'd be interesting to see how that turns out there.
Yeah, I know in the Express days, he was a very big part of that as well. And even to their icon, it was almost a thing of respect for that industry that they have there in Memphis. So the logo they had for the Express, I don't know if you're too familiar. You can check it out when you get bored and you'll see what I mean. I mean, it fits the city well when they did the AAF thing there.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's roll on to Sunday, April 14th. First game of the day, Houston Roughnecks at Michigan Panthers. That game starts at 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern, and it's on ABC. Another early game for us. So everybody there in Michigan, they're going to be waking up early to head to that game and get ready.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with attendance because they were down. They were down from week 1, week 2. Now they got another 12 p.m. kickoff. So we'll see what the attendance looks like.
Yeah, the 3 games in a row were surprising to me when they announced this Panther schedule. And it was especially surprising when we didn't see season game tickets go on sale until a couple weeks prior to the season starting.
That really can't happen. I mean,
yeah,
I think they were moving it from I don't know too much about it. They're moving it from like different programming with the whole ticketing system. I don't know the specifics, but no, that can't happen. It reminded me a little reminiscent of the Vegas Vipers dilemma from 2023. They didn't have their single game tickets go on sale until after the season started. I think they opened the season at home in week 2, and they had their tickets. I don't think they had their tickets go on sale till week 1 started. So that's definitely that was a whole catastrophe. The
wonderful Vipers. We love them. We miss them.
Yeah.
Fire Medic said those 11 a.m. games are odd. I felt weird in the Liberty Bowl at 10 a.m. Hey, I agree with you, dude. I was there at 8:30, so I'm right there with you. It was definitely a different experience. And I don't know. From my judgment, there was not much tailgate going on. There was a little bit of tailgating, but in terms of like some other places in the UFL, there was not much going on outside related to the UFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're saying they had they had other stuff going on, right? They had like a cancer walk and that kind of stuff. But
yeah, there was a couple other events going on there in Memphis, and that's what I was saying. Like I got there at 8:30, and it was loud, and there was a lot of people. And then I walked up, and they're like, "Oh no, we're going on a cancer walk. This is for
wow."
Yeah, so I think the person that I talked to, he said there was 9,000 people there just for that walk.
Wow, that's more than how many people turned out to the Showboats game. So it's
that's what I said. Just give them folks some free tickets, man.
That's a great way to capitalize. Honestly, just handing out tickets, or even maybe discounted. People will take coming from I guess a cancer walk and go watch a Memphis Showboats game. Support your local football team.
Yeah, I mean UFL hit me up. I got all kinds of ideas ready to roll. So yeah, this should be a good game though, man. I think the Houston team has an offense to work with now. We should see a battle here, and I honestly I don't know who's going to win this one after watching the Roughnecks last week. If we'd have been talking about week 1 Roughnecks, I would say Michigan would take this in the bag, but with what's happened so far, it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, Panthers definitely have the advantage with their kicker though. Jake
Always.
Bates. We'll see how much if he's able to hit another 6-yard field goal this week. That'd be insane. But yeah, no, they have the advantage with that. Everything else, though, I'd say is definitely a toss-up. So we'll see what happens.
So Fire Medic commented again. He said they're advertising $10 tickets here now, and he's talking about Memphis. Hopefully that will pull some interest. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's going to take. Just might as well bite the bird and do it, man. If you're already going to have the people there working, the place set up, I mean, just get some more bodies in there. It can't cost you anything extra at that point. You might lose a few dollars, but like I said, merchandise, the concessions, and just having a return customer is going to go a long way in this market.
Exactly. Yep. Definitely.
So let's roll on and talk about the last game of the week, of this week 3. The St. Louis Battlehawks at the San Antonio Brahmas. I think this is going to be a hit. It starts at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, and it's on ABC. Now, this is going to be a good game. I feel like it's going to be a shootout. And, I want to note, too, before we get into any more conversation about it, Destroying, you saw he got injured?
Yeah, he's
kickoff?
Neck fractured because of the poor tackling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's unfortunate to see. Because he brought a lot of publicity to the UFL. A lot of Brahmas fans chose to be Brahmas fans because this one guy Destroying was the kicker for the team. So that's definitely unfortunate to see with any player.
Agreed.
So wishing Destroying the best. I don't know if he's going to be back with what he has with the neck injury. I doubt it. So on the other end, it'll be interesting to see who the Brahmas bring in as a kicker. They cut Matt Amendola, right? He lost the battle to Destroying, but he definitely has some NFL experience. So we'll see if they give him another shot there. Or maybe another, more renowned guy. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I mean, San Antonio, they honestly, and this is me judging from the past couple weeks, is they don't even need a kicker yet. They haven't kicked
they haven't kicked a field goal. They had that one where they were gonna kick it, and then it turned out to be the 40-yard touchdown to their center, Alex Millette, who also is on the IR. I think
I forgot to mention that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with him. Do you? I haven't seen that yet.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure. I think I saw something from James Larson. I think he reported something with it.
I always wait for the official injury reports or the conversations with the coaches to pop up. I mean, once you hear a coach say it in a meeting, otherwise it's kind of, I don't know, day to day with most of these things.
It looks like, according to James Larson, I mean, he's reliable enough.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, he says the Alex Millette, according to AJ Smith. So I guess he spoke to AJ Smith in a press call or something. But Alex Millette is not expected to be. Oh, he's not. The injury is not expected to be season-ending. So he'll be back maybe after the 5 weeks that you're required to spend on the IR.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens with that because he's probably their best offensive lineman. He was all XFL last year, so it's a tough loss for the Brahmas between Moletti and Destroying in 1 week.
Yep. Yeah, Molette. I mean that's your secondary receiver right there.
Yeah, that was watching that on live TV. That touchdown was insane.
No doubt, man. And that just Mike G, he said Yenny, so he's talking about who to replace.
Oh, that's right.
Destroying. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I've talked to Enrique, and he's just waiting on some passport stuff to clear. That's the only thing holding him up right now.
Yeah, I mean, that sucks for him. It's really an unfortunate situation because he was signed by the Defenders and he was supposed to report to camp, but he never did. So I really do hope once he sorts all his personal issues out, he gets a shot because I've seen him. He sends me his clips. I see him posting on Twitter or X now. He looks like a great kicker, so I really hope he gets a shot. So maybe with Destroying going down, we see maybe Enrique Yenny, maybe get a shot. So
yes,
we'll see what happens with that.
He's ready and he's wanting to come. But I mean, when it comes to like the passport stuff, there's nothing dude can do any different on his hand. Just wait it out.
Control. Yep.
XFL Mike G said they punted 3 times when they were in De La Haye's range due to his injury. And that makes sense.
That's right. It did destroying. Is he the kickoff guy? Did he do kickoffs after he got injured for the Brahmas? Or?
Good question. I don't know.
So. I didn't
that
pay
point,
attention to that.
They were still hyping up his hit. They were still talking about, the kicker can do it all. And I mean, when he went to go hit the guy, he just dropped his neck and hit him all head.
Yeah, and he got up right after. He didn't even go
fine.
down.
Yeah,
I saw him like go like this with his neck after the play. I was like, I guess he's fine. But I guess at like 1 day later, this whole thing came out that he fractured his neck with the neck drop tackle. So yeah, I don't know, because there was nothing during the game that said he's questionable or he's injured. So that was definitely interesting. I was surprised when I saw I think it was his Instagram post that he's out for a significant amount of time.
When it comes to backs and necks, man, it's tough because some of that stuff is on set and you can be fine and then you go home and you chill and everything tightens up and you can't move. And it's tough with that stuff. But judging from that hit, man, I mean, I was watching on the road on the way home and it looked like it hurt. I mean, if anybody who is an NFL caliber player is running a ball and you drop your neck to tackle them, you're lucky you don't die in the process, honestly, because these are full-grown men. These aren't little boys. These are guys that are elite. They're running very fast and they weigh a lot.
And I wonder when the last time Destroying made a tackle before that. So, maybe he's probably not as used to the impact as, maybe a defensive player.
Exactly.
So, it's unfortunate for him. Hopefully, he gets healthy soon because, he's still on that mission to go to an NFL team. Maybe we'll see him sign, once he does get healthy, for a tryout or something like that. But yeah, I'm certainly rooting for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he's still there. He's going to stick it out, and he'll still be a face for them in San Antonio. I mean, he just won't be playing.
Yep. I mean, he hadn't kicked anything before he went down, and people were still tuning in to watch him. So we'll see how that affects the Brahmas, I guess, fandom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Aidan, that about wraps it up for us, man. We've done the 2-hour show, and once you hit like the hour and 20, it starts getting hard to have a sentence come out correctly. So I appreciate your time, dude, and you coming on tonight. It's been a good time.
Yeah, I know you said you didn't want to get to the 2-hour mark, so sorry about that.
Hey, it's all good, dude. We're going to get out of here before.
Had a good time.
I appreciate you, man. And guys, if you don't know him well, check out UFL Board. He does some work there. Check him out on Twitter as well. I'll have it at the bottom, and I'll have your link in the notes as well for people to find. Is there anything you want to say or shout out before you hop off?
No, I think we covered a lot today in these 2 hours. So thanks for having me again. It had been, I think, like 7 months since the last time. So it was great to be back, and hopefully we could do more of these. As we still got eight weeks left. So I'd love to come back on another week. Do exactly what we did today, breaking down, talking some UFL football, baby.
Yes, sir. If you ever want to come on, man, reach out. I mean, I try to have a guest a week, and I'm usually booked 2 weeks out. But if you ever want to do something, man, let me know. We can do it. We can make it happen.
All right, sounds good.
Now, before you roll out, so Mike G, I seen your question about destroying, so we're going to skip that one just because we discussed that. Mark Nelson said, I knew Mike Mitchell when he started out reporting in the XFL in 2001, and Aidan Burke is starting in a similar way. A young Mike Mitchell. All the best, Aidan.
Thank you, Mark. I try my best.
Mark's a good guy, man. If he sees it in you, then you got it. Just keep doing your thing.
Yeah. I try my best. Mike gives a lot of good information. He's the attendance guy. I've watched him on your show. During the merger, he gave a lot of good information, and just in general, he always has a lot of valuable insight with these leagues. So he's definitely a great figure in this spring football realm here.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, much respect to you, Mike. We appreciate you. And I mean, most of the info that I share, it's from Mike. So thank you, Mike. Keep doing your thing, man.
Yep, 100%.
And you keep doing your thing, Aidan. You're doing a good job, man. To be not out of high school yet, you've made some leaps and bounds, dude. So
Yeah.
keep it up, man. And I mean, like I said, if you ever need anything from me, reach out. Don't hesitate.
Yeah, I'll definitely reach out. I'll come back at least once by the end of the season. I'd love to.
Sounds good,
It's
dude.
great.
Appreciate you, man. You have a good night, and we'll talk again soon.
Yep, you as well. See
Thanks,
ya.
man. All right. Wrapping it up. We did the 2-hour mark almost. So appreciate you guys watching if you're still watching. It's been a good one getting everybody in here and getting them rolling. It's a little bit of more work and more of a challenge, but I tell you, when it all goes together, it goes together well. So thank you if you're watching or if you're listening after the fact in the audio. Appreciate it, man. If you want to chime in on the show, be active and participate, come on back. We'll be here next Tuesday. And I have another guest. Now, this is a really good guest. I'm looking forward to him, but I'm not going to tell you yet who it is. Check back Sunday or Monday prior to the show for that guest name. Tuesday, April 16th, 7:30 p.m. Central, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Check us out again. We're going to do the same thing. We'll break down the week's games, have a little conversation in between, and I don't know, just see what happens. Thank you again for watching or listening. If you have, I appreciate it greatly. I had a comment here from William. William, he said, "Hey, Matthew, are you coming to Birmingham Saturday night? Giddy up." I'm not going to be able to make it this Saturday, William. I've just been so booked traveling. But the next game I attend is going to be in Birmingham. Looking at that week 4, week 5 game. Try to make that happen. I believe it's like April 20th or something. I have to look at the calendar for sure. But, yeah, I'll try to make it down there then. And I'll definitely let you know. You'll know from the show that I'm coming as well whenever I make it official. So, thank you. Look forward to it. I think I've covered everything. Got some more comments. Let's check in. XFLMikeG said, "Thanks for coming on, Aidan. I follow UFL Center on Twitter. Agreed. Great follow. Good guy. And to think he's so young, man. He's very mature for his age. And we've talked before, and this was before the merger, and we had a great conversation. You can check it out. That was on the XFL Insider Podcast. That was before we switched everything over." Fire Medic, great show. I'll tune in again soon. Thanks. I appreciate you tuning in, Fire Medic. Check us out. I'll have the socials in the show notes, but basically you can find us anywhere at Alternative Football Network. That's the show's home, okay? So we do Alternative Football Network as a broad stance, but the show covers UFL in general. So that's where you can find me. And that's where I'm the one usually posting and doing everything on the socials for Alternative Football Network. Now, we share a lot of content from the guys and then the girls and doing their thing socially, but that's basically where I'm at full time. So, yeah, check us out. I'll include the notes. They'll have links to everything. You can just click and go. You can also check out alternativefootballnetwork.com. Go from there, and the social links are on there also. That's our site as well. And that's where you'll see some of the stuff from the riders we had on tonight. And then stuff from UFL Board as well. UFL Board, appreciate you, man. That's Mark Nelson and company. Great guys. I've been dealing with them since I started doing this, and I can't say anything bad about it. I mean, Mark's really been a helpful stance in my corner and shown me, kind of how to get some skills under my belt. He gave me the opportunity, and I called him up initially. He treated me with respect and gave me the chance to show him that we could do something, and it went well. So appreciate you, Mark, and UFL Board. Also, thanks to the UFL. Appreciate you letting me cover the league. Appreciate you letting us use your videos and your clips and logos and talking about everything. It's a great honor and pleasure, and we greatly, greatly appreciate it. I think I about covered it all. Like I said, check again next week, Tuesday. We'll have someone special on. I don't want to tell you yet. Sorry. We may have a breakdown segment now that I'm home for this week 3 games. I was traveling the past couple of weeks, so I didn't have much time to do stuff myself. It was really just back to back to back. Now we got a little more free time. We'll see what happens with everything. I think that's it, though, guys. Always a pleasure and honor. Thank you again for watching. If you are, like, follow, share, comment, send me a message, whatever, interact. And I don't know. Thank you also for supporting the league. If you haven't made it to a game yet and you're still kind of just wondering, what that entails, go check it out. Go check it out, please. I mean, I promise your opinion will be changed when you get there. You know, the 8,000-9,000 people seem like a small number, but when you go in person and see what these people are there representing and doing, you'll garner a new respect for the league and the fans in general. Show starts 7:30. Fire Medic. He said, "What time does the show start?" Tuesday. It starts at 7:30 p.m. Central. So check out the socials. It's live from Facebook, Twitter /X, and YouTube. And then I put it on all the audio platforms after the fact. And of course, you can still watch the live from any of those pages after the fact as well if you want. But yeah, it's always fun. Appreciate you watching again. That's it for me. If we don't talk again before week 3 hits, let's do it. Week 3, UFL, here we come, baby. Appreciate you guys again for watching. I'm out. Much respect. Peace out. Be good. Bye-bye.
Go hard, go home, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home, touchdown like an end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard.